Hi everyone, Happy New Year and welcome to the video. This one is about my goals that I've set for the year 2022. I don't really do New Year's resolutions, so these goals are part of my long-term plans for stock photography. And I guess a lot of these goals started a few years ago. I remember back in the summer of, I think it was 2019, where I was in the Limburg city of Maastricht, and I set out some new strategies for stock photography. And a couple of those were starting the journey with book covers, and the other one was paying for a year's subscription to upload to Fine Art America, which is a site that sells fine art in the way of photography, and that photography can be placed on various different products, from wall hanging art to prints on doonas or duvets or bed cover sheets to shower curtains. So these goals started a few years ago, but I'm going to tell you what progress I've made and what I'm going to keep doing in 2022 and what I'm not going to keep doing in 2022. Now there's a helicopter coming over. I've been looking or reading with interest Steve Heap's posts on his stock photography website, Backyard Silver. And Steve has been, for the last 2 years, I think, rigorously uploading to the agency Fine Art America. And I read with interest that he uploaded a lot of quality assets to that site and didn't have a lot of success. He put a lot of work and energy into it, but with little return. However, to make his sales increase on Fine Art America, he's taken the strategy of leveraging his efforts with social media promotion. Now, Steve, I think, has a background in IT, so putting a lot of energy and effort into social media and trying to increase his profile on those platforms, I think, is interesting to him and probably doesn't take as much energy as it would for someone like me. I, on the other hand, would find it very difficult to start the learning process of social media and how to promote my fine art on those platforms. For me, that's a red flag that means that it's not worth the trouble and effort, and I'm better off putting my energies into other endeavors. I think earlier in a previous video, the last video I made for my roundup of the year 2021 and my results for December 2021, I talked about a video I made of an electric car charging in a snowstorm and how I knew that video was going to be successful, so I invested a lot of effort into re-uploading it until the stock agency accepted it. Now, because I followed my gut with that, I think it was worth it, and it paid off in the end because I sold that video eventually. And I think this winter I'll keep selling that video. So with regard to Fine Art America, I'm going to follow my gut and cut that off at the bud and stop investing time and money into it. I also talked about creating a portfolio for book covers for the stock or the book cover agency Archangel. I've always had that goal in the back of my mind to create that portfolio, but it has taken a lot longer than I expected. I think the first time I attempted to become a contributor for Archangel, they didn't even reply to my application or even look at the images that I sent them. I did contact them and they got back to me and said, next time we'll look out for your application and make sure that we look at it and get back to you. So I thought, well, that's a good opportunity. Instead of rushing into this, take my time and create a portfolio that I'm 100% happy with to send them with regard to their quality and the types of images that they're likely to accept and will be successful on their site. So my ambition for 2022 is to spend another few months focusing on book cover images so that I'm really satisfied with the little portfolio that I've created, so that when I apply to Archangel, the chances of being accepted as a contributor are higher, and I know that I've done everything I can to do that. But it's not a process that I want to rush into. Obviously, it's taken like 3 years so far. But I'm seriously going to send that application this year, hopefully within the first 3 months, if not within the first 6 months. My third goal for 2022, which is a long-term goal that I've been focusing on for at least the last 2 years, and I've been working on it steadily, and that is to increase my video portfolios across all of the agencies. Well, when I say all of the agencies, the ones that matter, and that's Shutterstock, maybe Adobe Stock more. I haven't been uploading videos much to that agency, but I think I will risk it and upload to that as well. Definitely Pond 5, perhaps Wirestock, and the other one is iStock Getty, which I've been uploading videos to consistently for the last 2 years. The trend with microstock for the coming, I guess, 5 years or 3 to 5 years is that photos have definitely hit a point of saturation in terms of sales and commissions. We've seen that with the commission rate drops with Shutterstock, and just the lack of return for effort and time spent uploading those assets. Whereas the growth for video is still continuing. I think it is slowing down and will reach a peak where video also plateaus out, but hopefully that will not be for another 3 years or so, and I will have squeezed as much out of that sector of this microstock market as I can. So the first step for focusing more on video was buying this iPhone SE 2020. When I looked up the specifications when I needed a new smartphone, I saw that this pretty basic model of iPhone, which is the cheapest iPhone out there now, I think, has some pretty powerful video capabilities, and that video capability was 4K at 60 frames a second. So that's the first step for my journey into video. What I also want to do is squeeze more out of this little video camera that's shooting me right now, and that's a Lumix FZ300. Now, I was watching DP Review on YouTube with Chris and Jordan about a month ago, and they had a video on what kind of video camera Jordan would buy if he was limited in his budget. And he ended up deciding that the FZ300 was the best video camera he could buy for his limited budget. I'd already decided this 3 years ago or so, and I'd already bought one. But that was nice reconfirmation that this camera is actually capable of more than I think it is. And the reason I guess I video more on this iPhone is just because it's easier and because it shoots 4K at 60 frames. But this little FZ300 isn't a slouch. It also shoots 4K at 30 frames. And I should stop being such a snob and I should make use of these tools that I already have, instead of dreaming, you know, oh, I want this camera, this Canon R5 for example, that shoots 8K, which is totally unrealistic for my budget and defeats the purpose as well, because why spend more money on this side hustle than it's actually making for me? Having said that though, another goal of 2022 is to save up as much money as I can for my next video camera, and that will be the Canon R6. The Canon R6 is a drop down from the R5. I think brand new it's around 2200. However, I'd be looking for a reconditioned camera or a second-hand one. So 2022 I'm going to be saving as much as of my stock photography and videography earnings to save for that camera, which shoots 4K at 60 frames. It has inbuilt image stabilization, so it will be fantastic for helping me grow my video portfolio, which is something I really want to deep dive into this year. Okay, now my last goal, and this is not so much related to stock photography, but I've just been dying to do this for 5 years, and that's go back home to Australia to see my family. The last 2 years we seriously planned to do it, but because of the you-know-what, the last 2 years it has just not been possible. In the Christmas of 2022, myself and my family, my Dutch family, will be going back to Australia. So I really can't wait to show you some of the videos on my channel that I'll be making from Australia, and in particular Tasmania. So that's to come, and that will be my, I guess, my final goal of the year. Fingers crossed that it turns out. Having said that, guys, all the best with your shooting for 2022, and let me know what your goals are, or what things you're stopping or starting this year. I'll be very interested to see the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!
All the time.